right. So Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to chat with you today. I just have a few questions here for you. Okay. So if in a couple sentences, if you can introduce your name, introduce yourself, excuse me, name, location, lifestyle, some of your passions, and your current job title.
Ooh, okay, so my name is Jennifer Santos, and I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is in the United States. Currently living kind of the laptop lifestyle, working from home, but I have an 8-year-old son, so unfortunately I'm not able to jet set as freely as I would like, but when I do, I'm sure to include him so he can come live that lifestyle with me. Current hobbies include, can you see back there? Sewing. I love to craft, create. I recently got into rollerblading just because I always wanted to do that as a kid and struggled. Never had the confidence to actually like literally get up and metaphorically and fall. So I've taken that on this past year. I went out and bought rollerblades before having a clue what I was going to do with them. But so far, so good. And my limbs are still intact. So I feel like that's been a successful journey. And then just being creative in general. I mean, whether it's decorating my house ad nauseum or designing social media campaigns, websites, makeup, dressing halfway between fashionable and crazy. That's kind of, that encompasses my personality. A little bit eccentric, but a lot of fun.
Cool. Awesome. And what were your struggles before joining the program?
So it's kind of funny because my struggle, depending on who you ask, could be considered a win. So I worked in the corporate sector for 15 years, and I was busting my buns for the better part of a decade, trying to prove myself and trying to get a certain promotion. I wanted to get to a certain level within my organization because I felt that once I got to that level, that's what success would look like. Like I would have the money that I wanted to do the things that I wanted. And finally, after 15 years, I got that promotion and I was so excited. It felt like everything that I had been working for accumulated into this opportunity. And I took it, and very quickly, I'd say within about 2 or 3 weeks, it felt uncomfortable, and not in a like, well, it's new, you just got to get used to it. It felt uncomfortable in a way that it just didn't sit well with my soul, and I knew I didn't belong there. Like I said, my personality is very eccentric. I'm very friendly. I'm very playful. And I absolutely believe that you can be professional and get work done. But you don't have to be stiff. It doesn't have to be boring. We don't have to be miserable while we do it. But in my organization, that sort of attitude of being playful and being fun wasn't received well. I was definitely looked at like, how did she get here? And so I realized on top of that, once I got that first paycheck that I thought was going to solve all of my money woes, I quickly realized it was not as much as I thought it was going to be. And I was like, wow, for feeling like I don't belong and not having as much money as I thought, like this isn't what I want. Like this isn't going to work for me. This isn't sustainable. I don't really want to continue with this path. And so luckily the promotion was sort of a trial, and I was able to determine at the end of, I think, a 3-month period if I wanted to continue in that position or if I wanted to step down. And I had to sort of like stop myself from immediately being like, oh my God, no, I don't want this. I had to be like, oh, thank you for the opportunity. It's been so great. I've learned so much, but without having to tell them what I've learned is that I absolutely don't want to do this. So after that, and that was earlier this year, I realized like, okay, so what I had been working for the past 15 years, that goal had been accomplished. And now I was kind of at ground zero. Like I needed to figure out like, okay, well, I don't want to stay stuck in the position that I'm in. I still want to make more money, but now I see that the path that I thought was a surefire way to success isn't actually the way in. So I prayed on it, and I asked the universe to just kind of let me know what direction I needed to head in. I have a lot of interest. I'm good at a lot of things, but I wanted to be able to do something where I could have an impact and help other people, but at the same time, be creative and not be miserable. Like I don't want to make money at the expense of my peace. I value my peace way too much. So one day I'm in the Instagram, like soul, you know, just the time suck. And one of Jet's videos appeared and it was like, wait a minute, this girl might be onto something. She's talking about a digital skill. Like, okay, that makes sense. Like the world that we live in is heading towards, you know, being more online. And yeah, once you can kind of get acquainted with those skills, you become so much more marketable and valuable. And those are skills, yeah, that people are willing to pay money for. So again, like my journey to LLMP wasn't necessarily one of struggle, but it was one of having to redefine my purpose and redefine what success looked like for me.
Cool. Nice, nice, nice. So the next question I have for you is, what was the most valuable for you in our program?
Honestly, the most valuable thing, on top of just having the videos and having access to the vault, right? Like any question I had, or any, as I call it, like a rabbit or a squirrel that I wanted to chase, like what is email marketing? Like, what do I need to know about that? And being able to type it up and have all these videos pop up was brilliant. But actually having access to the program and having like a step-by-step, you know, here's the skills as you learn them. Here's onboarding. Here's like the first thing you need to do. It was having that roadmap, because when you look at these digital skills and, you know, in module 0, I think is the onboarding, where you learn all the digital skills, it's a lot. And it felt overwhelming. Like, how the heck am I supposed to learn this? What, in 12 weeks? Like, is this actually possible? And once I was able to like, oh, wait a second, there's like a roadmap. There's just one video at a time. And I, you know, watch the video, mark it complete, and then I go to the next one and I do those assignments. And once I was able to really like narrow down that focus into exactly what steps I needed to take, in what order, I was able to process and digest the program in a way that it worked for me. And I was able to do it and manage it. Again, I have a full-time job still. I have an 8-year-old son as a single mom. I needed to be able to take on the program, but do it at a pace where I could actually retain the information, because I didn't want to rush through and then at the end be like, I finished it. Now, what were we talking about? Like, I wanted to be sure that I was able to take on everything, learn everything, process everything, and really having, again, that step-by-step process, instead of having just like an all-encompassing just plethora of videos and skills, really helped me to be able to digest it and not feel so overwhelmed and fearful.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it how you put that together. Awesome. So what really helped you to move forward and actually build your successful laptop lifestyle?
Honestly, and I know it kind of sounds probably cliche, maybe a little cheesy, just because Jet really hammers in your why. But again, it was realizing like, okay, I'm in this position where I have to really redefine where I want to go with my life. I am a couple of years shy of 40. So of course there's like that clock, right? That biological clock that's kind of chipping away. And I really had to ask myself, what do I want to do today so that when it's my 40th birthday, I want 40-year-old Jennifer to look back and be like, thank you, late 30 Jen. I appreciate what you did, because now at 40, hopefully, you know, I'm living large at the top of the Eiffel Tower, fireworks for the 40th birthday. Like, you know, I'm dreaming big. But I had to ask myself, what am I going to do today that 40-year-old Jen is going to thank me for? And not only that, again, a single mom, I fully recognize my son is watching me. You know, whether he necessarily like is taking it all in now, I know that as he gets older, he's going to think back on his childhood. And how did my mom go about living her life? How did she define her career? How did she define what success looked like? And I wanted to be able to really not only, you know, challenge myself and create a life that I loved, but I wanted to set that example for my son so that when he gets to the age where he has to decide what he's going to do with his life, he can look back on his childhood, look back at his single mom, and feel inspired to do the same, to live a life that may be a little different, and to challenge himself to think and live outside the box. And to me, that was my why, because I want to be not only successful in my career, but I want to be successful in parenthood. And I want to give that to my child. And to me, that is success.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. That's so inspiring. And what is your biggest accomplishment since our program?
Man, it's hard to just pin down one. I officially launched Mom Boss Marketing about 2 weeks ago. So I launched an Instagram, and I really honed in on making a website because that was a service that I wanted to offer. So I spent the better part of 12 weeks learning how to make a website, and not just only with templates. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using templates, but I wanted to be able to really understand the back end of it. And so doing that and launching, the reception has been incredible. I mean, of course, from like family and friends, they're like, oh my God, yes, I love this for you. But people coming to me from behind the scenes and saying, I really admire you, just because I know and I can understand how much courage you have to be vulnerable and to put yourself out there. And to me, maybe it's delusion, which, like, you know what, I'm going to drink it up. But there was never the thought that I could fail. I always thought that as long as I go in this with passion and heart, and I commit to showing up and not giving up and not taking the defeats personally, like, I can do this. I never even let myself think that this wasn't going to pan out. I just swatted that away. Again, maybe it's delusion, but hey, if it works for you, honey, then, like, you know, take it all in. But since then, I've had not only friends support me, but my first client is a complete stranger, somebody I had never met. But I guess just the way that I showed up authentically and my own belief in myself translated to me feeling really honored that a complete stranger believed in me and was so not only willing to be my first client, but excited. One of the first things she said to me was like, I'm so glad that we're working together. And honestly, I don't want to share you with anybody else. And it's been so rewarding and empowering that, again, strangers and people that don't know me personally believe in me so much. And it helps me on those days when maybe I'm like, God, am I doing this right? Like, is this okay? That these people believe in me sometimes more than I do. And so having those clients and having them be more than just excited to, like, oh, I'm hiring a social media manager, but they're excited because they're working with me. That part just makes me feel validated that, you know, I'm in the right area and that I don't have to be afraid to show up authentically and be myself. I don't have to hide.
Love it. Love it. And what did you think in the beginning about investing to join this program?
Woo, look, my heart already starts speeding up when you ask me what I think at the beginning. I like immediately go back to that place and like anxiety creeps in. Okay, so that's how I felt. You know, I paid for the program and I hadn't started, and I was excited. Like, I was super stoked. Like, heck yeah, I got a direction. I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be great. And then I look at my credit card balance. I look at my statement, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? So there was a lot of anxiety because I think initially to like bet on yourself, it's natural to kind of feel like you're in the hole. Like, wait a second, I'm like in the negative before I even started. But, you know, there's an expression, and you probably know it, in Puerto Rico where we talk about coger impulso, which means like before you kind of launch forward, you kind of have to go backwards a little bit. Like before you shoot an arrow, before you start running, you kind of like come back and then use that momentum to like power forward. So there was a lot of anxiety in the beginning just because it's the starting point. I mean, starting anything new, taking on a new challenge, learning new skills I lost a lot of sleep. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to paint it pretty and be like, it was great, sunshine, rainbows. No, honey, I lost so much sleep. I have bags under my eyes. But again, I continued to show up. I didn't believe that failure was an option. And I knew that, you know, the anxiety was today. But again, I knew that the version of myself a year from today was going to look back and be like, boo, you had nothing to worry about. Like, everything's going to be fine. This is going to be great. And I had to lean on that faith and that belief in myself that, you know, the version of me in the future was applauding me and like hugging me and like petting my hair and saying, it's okay, boo, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And why did you decide in the end to join our program anyway?
You know, I decided because honestly, you guys didn't really even have to sell me. Like, I knew, again, that I needed a change. I needed to pursue something that I was passionate, something that I was excited about. And again, I prayed on it. So I had that like voice inside of me that knew that this was the way forward. Like, it felt right. I knew it was scary, but I also knew that not taking that action, that not doing anything and staying stuck and constantly wondering, well, how can I make more money? You know, I didn't want to reduce to like selling feet pictures. No judgment if you sell pictures of your feet. I'm just saying that wasn't the life that I wanted to do. That wasn't the road that I wanted to take. So ultimately, it just felt right. It felt like the path forward, the path that had kind of been revealed to me. And again, I had that faith that things would work out. And I had that faith that if the opportunity had been presented to me in such a way, especially during a time when I was seeking that it was right and it was meant to be.
Yeah. And so what if someone here is watching this right now and is doubting whether or not to join our program? What would your advice be to them?
You know, I think it's important to really take inventory. I wouldn't recommend anybody to like be impulsive and jump in, but you really just have to take a look at what you've got going on, take a look at where you want to be, and really ask yourself if it makes sense. You know, if it's something that you can really commit to, because, you know, Jet promises like, hey, 3 to 5K in your first couple of months, which is fantastic, but that might not necessarily work for everyone. And that might not necessarily, everybody's path looks different. But you have to ask yourself if you're really willing to like put in the work, because it's not easy. I mean, ultimately you are learning digital skills. This isn't like, you know, you put the headphones on and you passively go about your life and then you download all the information. No, you watch these videos, but then you actually have to implement. And I'm not going to lie, like your first couple of designs, you're going to spend hours putting in the work, making these designs, making these websites, only to look at it in the end and be like, this is hot steaming garbage. I hate this. And that's okay. Like, that's part of the process. So you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to give yourself grace. And if you really want to make that change, and you're really willing to have not only like the mental strength to learn the skills, but the mental strength to fight through the imposter syndrome, fight through the anxiety, fight through, you know, going on social media and finding yourself comparing yourself to other social media marketers or digital marketers who are established, who have been doing this for years, and be willing to say like, okay, you know, I maybe can't be that exact version, but I can be a version that's authentically me. And again, if you have that belief and you have that drive and you have that faith that you can succeed, then I would say to jump in. And, you know, I'm saying it from the other side, like, jump in, the water's fine. It's good. There's room for you here. But not to doubt yourself, and to just believe and really want to make that change, because it's not just about, you know, joining the program and then having success. Like, there is a process that you have to go through, and it's at times uncomfortable, and you have to be open, receptive, and ready for that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And, you know, your story is so inspiring. And I think that you could inspire others, you know, and I think that we are so proud of you, of, you know, how far you've come and what you have accomplished from within the program. And yeah, I'm so excited for you, and I cannot wait to see you keep succeeding, and I can't wait to see you crush this.
Thank you. And I have to say, honestly, and something that the LLMP program doesn't necessarily promote, you know, that the program promotes, oh, we're going to teach you these digital skills and it's going to be great. I can say that learning these digital skills has been like this much of the success. Like, yes, it's absolutely essential, but taking control of my life, taking control of my career, my path, and ultimately like how I show up daily, how that ripples to the people that are in my orbit, that's huge. My confidence, I can tell you, the video of me today versus the video that was probably recorded when I first came on, totally different people. Like coming into this program, it's more than just learning digital skills. It's a game changer. And I walk now confidently into rooms, looking people in the eye. It's a game changer in a way. Like I'm getting goosebumps, like in a way that is more than I can even describe. Like it's worth so much to be able to like have this power, have this control. And it's just awesome. So I thank you. I thank Jet. I thank everybody, because you know who I was and how I'm stepping into the world in my role as a woman, as a mom, as a business owner is night and day from where I was even like 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yeah,